Othello. Will it HeroQuest? Well, yes, everything HeroQuests in these cursed hands. Make it stop, send help. I'm going to show you how, though. So this is obviously a browser-based digital version of the game Othello, which in and of itself should be highly accessible, easy to find. You can Google this and play for free against an AI or against another human opponent. But this video will also show you how to play if you haven't played before. Othello is an extremely simple game. Usually comes with a small sort of grid 8x8 like this and a ton of white chips and a ton of black chips. This is how the game is set up when you first start. Go ahead and select your smartest player. And if you guys can't agree on who the smartest player is, then select the wizard and play against the wizard as Zargon. Zargon, you take the black, wizard, you take the white, and we will begin playing. To play this browser game, we will select a piece and then select a square that is orthogonally aligned. It might be just better to show you. See how I jumped that white piece and then the browser took its turn, it jumped my black piece. Okay, I can take any of these three black pieces here and I can jump any of these three white pieces, but instead of taking the piece, I just change the color of that piece. So we go ahead and click the black one here, for example, and we can jump this one. Now you don't have to just jump up, down, left, or right. You can also go diagonal, and you don't have to just jump one piece. You can jump several pieces. You can actually jump a maximum of 6 pieces or the entire board if you go from one side all the way to the other, if you're fortunate enough, changing the color of all those pieces as you fly across the board with yours. I don't have any valid moves, I think, going from here to here. Yeah, because you can't jump in a row where there are mixed colors, but I could definitely do like from here to here. And then he's jumped, obviously. I can go ahead and do this to this. And then he's jumped diagonally. And that's how this game is basically played. I want to go ahead and convert these two to black. So I can click here and then here. He can come down if he wants. Oh, he decided to go that way. That's fine. This is going to be basically covered in white and black circles at the end of this game, and the winner will be the one who has more of the colored circles of their side on the board. But we keep going until the board is completely filled up. Now, it is in your wizard's best interest to play well, because you will want to have, as the heroes, more of the good guy pieces on the board than there are black circles. And we'll go ahead and skip to the end after I play this terribly, because I'm doing a terrible job right now, to show you exactly why that is. I lost hard in that one. I had a score of 16 versus my opponent's score of 48. This is what the resultant board looks like. And of course, we can start over and play again. But the point here is that you have a map now, and each one of these circles represents a region. And each one of these regions is basically a quest. You can just go ahead and simplify it and say every single one of these is a quest. Now, which quest corresponds to which circle doesn't matter. You can go ahead and choose, as Zargon, any one of these squares to be the starting point for the very first quest that you play in your campaign. So if you're going to play the game system and you want to apply this homebrew to the game system, go ahead and say, we're going to start the trial, and we're going to start it right here on this white square. Keep a copy of this handy, something that you can edit. Print this off and have a marker or something ready, a highlighter, to show which squares have already been overtaken. And now we have a lot of ways that we can homebrew this into HeroQuest. So my initial idea, or idea number 1, is going to be you have a white square that represents a region that is more or less at peace, but this region does contain the quest, the trial. So, I mean, obviously there are problems. Each one of these circles is going to represent one quest or another of some kind. And the difference between a white and a black is going to be the essence of the homebrew. So if you finish the trial, you have some options here. You can go ahead and take this off of this board, and you can now have your heroes move to an adjacent circle, an adjacent region, before they start up the next quest, which is the rescue of Sir Ragnar. If they move to a white region, they can visit the armory. And if they move to a black region, they cannot visit the armory. And that's all there is to it. The goal will be to take all of these black regions and turn them white again. You can go from place to place and knock out these black ones. I would say that this actually becomes pretty pointless pretty fast, though, if you have a long trail or an unbroken circuit of circles that are all white, your heroes can just basically move from white to white and always visit the armory and not have to worry about these black circles. You, as Zargon, could then enhance this homebrew with step 2, which is you are required, heroes, to clear out 5 of these black circles in the campaign, effectively allowing them to choose which times they are allowed to go to the armory and which times they are not, by moving into adjacent circles and planning their moves wisely. But just keep in mind, it would take a quest before you would be able to move from, say, the black to the white, and then the heroes would have to move from this white down to another white. So it actually makes it a little bit easier for them to traverse and knock out these black circle requirements, changing them to good circles if you, as Zargon, are winning this game of Othello. But it does make things extremely difficult if the heroes are unable to ever buy anything from the armory. So on the flip side, if this entire board is mostly covered in black, they're going to have a rough time. And I would say in that instance, you would let your heroes pick which circle to start on. So I guess what I would really say here is the loser of the game of Othello should pick which circle they start on so that they have maximum strategic advantage. And because Zargon here, myself, with the black has the fewer circles, I should be able to put where they start because odds are going to be in the hero's favor, which is kind of what we want because we want the game to continue happening. Okay, so that's just visiting the armory versus not visiting the armory. And then the overall expectation that the heroes finish or complete a number of quests while they are in the regions that are represented by black circles. But you can start to see how this is very easy to scale up. Perhaps if they are in a peaceful region or one that is marked by a white circle, they are able to turn in bounties, or they are able to visit towns in between quests. You can quickly see how you can incorporate other homebrew mods. Perhaps they are able to gain heroic boons, whereas if they are in a region that is marked by a black circle, they don't have the opportunity to do this stuff in between quests. They have to go straight from one quest to another after hearing the Far Voice spell containing the instructions from Zargon that make up the quest introduction, the flavor text that introduces every quest. Othello is an extremely simple game, very easy to learn, very difficult to master and spot all of the possible moves, but the concept and the presentation of Othello makes for very simple homebrew as well. If you don't want to use this as interquest homebrew, then you can use it for trap homebrew. A game of Othello, if the wizard or whoever wants to play, whoever discovers the trap, can win, will grant passage to a room full of treasure, or perhaps a trap that opens a door to a room full of goblins. You could add this Othello trapped door to any of the quests that are in the base game system. Just go ahead and put a door where previously there was not a door, and put a room where previously there was not a room. You can also go ahead and put a door where there is not currently a door, and have it serve as a shortcut to the end of the quest, or at least give the heroes a significant amount of progress if they are able to open this door by winning the game of Othello, which effectively acts like a series of different little mechanical switches and arcane ancient technologies that were put in place in the dungeon for the dungeon. That's Othello. Let's move on to the next. Will it HeroQuest?
Battleship. Will it HeroQuest?
The answer, and this camera angle, may surprise you. So, some time ago, somebody asked about stealth mechanics and whether it would be possible to play a sort of fog of war game where both sides were trying to stealth each other out. If you use the Battleship game boards, this is entirely possible, and if you can't use Battleship as it is in this form, then you can at least use the same concepts. Hold on. D3. D3. Did I miss? What do you mean it's a miss? That makes no sense. AI lied to me. Okay, so the first thing to do is explain nomenclature. I am going to call each one of these coordinates designations because we are going to use them to designate rooms and have a counterpart between the Battleship board and the HeroQuest board. And I know somebody's going to ask, so just so everybody knows, this is one of Ian Schofield's beautiful dungeon mats. I forget which one, but they're all on Drive-Thru RPG. Obviously, this is one that has widened hallways north and south and a little bit of extra room here, but never mind that. So you are going to designate each one of the rooms and each of the unbroken corridors as its own coordinate using the Battleship board. So as soon as you guys can agree on what that means and where those go, you will be ready to start playing. For the sake of example, let's say that this is going to be A1, A3, A5, A7, A9, and I'm doing this because we have pegs to represent entities, and while you could definitely have a peg represent an entire group of enemies, and that's probably the best policy to go with here, you might also decide that you have different enemies represented by individual pegs, and that these enemies are moving around, and well, once you occupy a room, you don't really have a way to put multiple pegs in the same hole, so you will run into situations where you're going to need more than one coordinate on your board to represent a room. You could also do this to where it's a little bit more intuitive for you as well as the opposing player. I mean, you could do this with miniaturized versions of the HeroQuest board itself, just behind screens, and honestly, that would be the best thing to do for the mechanics that I'm going to present here. But the question is, will Battleship HeroQuest? And that's the question we're attempting to answer. So we're using Battleship, but you can probably see already where I'm going with this. So let's go ahead and just redefine the coordinates. Let's go ahead and redact everything I just said. We're going to go ahead and say that this is going to match the HeroQuest board as much as possible, and that the center room here is actually going to be a set of 4 coordinates, E5, E6, F5, and F6. This is where the heroes are going to start, and this is how the hero player is going to keep track of where his heroes are on the board, because the hero player is going to have a Battleship board, or the equivalent, and Zargon's going to have a board, and nobody is going to put anything on the HeroQuest board until a skirmish ensues. So this is how this plays out. Heroes, you don't see what Zargon has. Zargon, you don't see what the heroes have, but you know where your monsters are. Now, you are allowed on your turn to move one of your pegs from its designated spot to an adjacent designation, orthogonally, so up, down, left, or right, no diagonal. So we're going to move over this peg from C8 to C7, and we're going to call out C7. We're not actually using the battleships or the destroyers or any of the ship models for this game. The hero player is going to look at C7 and tell Zargon if he has any heroes there to be discovered in that room. And you will call out miss or none, or room is empty, actually. Now, Zargon can use the white pegs to mark rooms that are empty, if so desired, but the fact is that the nature of the rooms is going to change, or has the potential to change throughout the game, so it's kind of pointless to mark rooms as empty when it's very possible that heroes could be traveling eventually back to that room that is marked as empty. So really, you just need to have your pegs out. Your red pegs. You can use the top board to take notes if you so desire, and it might be a good idea to do that. Go ahead and throw some objectives on the HeroQuest board, a treasure, a trap, something like that, and then you both will be aware of the existence of that trap or treasure. Or to make this a little bit more scalable and extend it out a little bit, perhaps you discover these traps and treasures throughout the course of playing, and as soon as you do, you can both mark where they are on your upper boards, and then you've got enemies or heroes that will now be going to that location, either to disarm the trap, or set the trap, or collect the treasure, or send a party in advance anticipating that your opposing party is going to get there with a force of some kind. Okay, so this continues on. The heroes will now move and say D6. And now, is there a monster in D6? No, there is not. But now Zargon knows that the heroes are in D6. So what can he do? He can move his monster party down to D7, hoping that the heroes will enter D7 on the next turn. And D7 could realistically be this room, for example, or it could be this corridor. And we're just going to say the entire room, the entire corridor. We're not going to fiddle around with like what exact square they're on. When you open up a room in HeroQuest, that's it. Everything is revealed. All the contents of the room are revealed, regardless of whether or not they're in the line of sight of the hero. As soon as that door is open, everything in there is fair game. So let's say the hero now wants to move a different hero out into a corridor, perhaps, which is a terrible mistake, but it's going to happen. F5, and this is another reason why you might say that multiple designations can go to a single room, because you really want to have the opportunity to move more than one hero into that room if you have to. F5 to F4, are there any monsters there? Zargon would reply, no. But now he's going to move this peg from F6 to F5. And, well, that is within the boundaries of the center square. Actually, it was a minute ago as well. So what needs to happen is all of the monsters that are present in that region, that set of designations on the Zargon side, will now be placed onto the board in that physical room. This room is now completely uncovered by the fog of war. The hero will do the same thing, putting all of the applicable hero characters into that room. These aren't HeroQuest miniatures, but now that everybody's placed, the battle can ensue. You could go ahead and have whoever discovered the opposite party decide whether or not they want their miniatures placed first or what have you. I think you should treat it kind of like the Wandering Monster, where if you discover that there are entities in a room that you're moving into, that's kind of like the same thing as drawing a Wandering Monster card. But if we go by Battleship logic, if you make the hit, that's a good thing for you. So maybe it's more like you're the Wandering Monster. That actually kind of makes more sense. You are the Wandering Monster in this game of HeroQuest Battleship. So now that you have your heroes on the board, the fog of war no longer applies to them, and those heroes who are on the board can move around to other areas unless they completely vanquish the opposing forces in that room. If one player no longer has line of sight to another player's entities, take them back off the board, they are strictly being represented by the Battleship board or equivalent. Obviously, this could lead to a very long game where your last entities are just going to be running around trying to find each other, so any rooms that are revealed by Fog of War stay revealed no matter what. And if a monster moves into a revealed room, they have to place their monster on the board to represent where they are now. And the heroes, as well as the monsters, can work out by process of elimination where the opposing party really is, because they're able to appear and disappear from this one room. And that is how Battleship can HeroQuest. On to the next game. All right, I don't know about this one. I didn't ask for this, but I found it, and I have an obligation to you, my hero questers. I actually found this brand new. I could not believe that I had the experience of opening up these bags and taking out all the pieces, brand spanking new. I'm gonna keep the bags in there. I'm actually gonna keep the cheese tokens unpunched, and I'm going to put this back out into the wild the way that I found it, slightly lessened from the bag openings. But anyways,
Mousetrap HeroQuest.
This is gonna be so dumb. We have a couple things to address here, namely the board, which we'll go ahead and say, yeah, just go ahead and have an entrance to this board, this underground sewer from your HeroQuest board. Use one of those nice little tiles that represents the underground passage or trapdoor, and go ahead and teleport your heroes to this board and have the other trapdoor tile be somewhere on here. The length of the game that you want to play will depend on where it is. How many rolls of movement between turns of players are you going to force your people to go through before you allow them to reach the other door? In which case, they will either ascend back up the stairs out the same place they came from, or they will be in a different part of the dungeon. For greater immersion and more ease on you, the Zargon, I would have the setup something like, don't put anything on this map at all. Nothing at all. Just have like the right side maybe filled in, and then have your trapdoor here, and then when you go to place your map, put your start tile here, and then lay this board down after your hero enters it. Or have a door here at the edge of the room if you want, or at the edge of this room, then come onto the tile straight away, and then you'll go ahead and circle around and you'll have an exit door here. And while you are on this board, different rules apply. Nobody's going to do this. I mean, there's a 0% chance, or maybe technically higher than 0, but very, very close to 0% chance. Nobody's going to do this. So the better thing to do with the Mousetrap components is to actually set them up on the HeroQuest board itself. You might say, but Ash, they are designed to fit into the board. I mean, bah humbug, forget all that. Just set stuff up piecemeal. Don't worry about the exact configuration of the Mousetrap mechanism as a whole. All right, and now you have these very silly interactive traps that look really fun and colorful if you're playing with younger kids. So you can throw this metal ball on here onto the bucket, and if one of your players passes through this corridor, they'll activate a tripwire that's connected to the leg of this structure. And now, not only will this ball roll down, which provides for just a visual feast. Let's go ahead and move this up to say like right here, and you could say the tripwire is actually adjacent to the leg up there in that room instead. The ball's going to roll down and just take out anybody who's standing in this line, or maybe in the room in general. Let's see how that works. My Reaper Bones proxy for Genevieve the Vampire. the Harpy Lady from AlterQuest, Ka the Aura, and a couple of 90s/early aughts Skaven. Whoever gets touched by the steel ball is going to have to roll defense against, I don't know, 5 attack dice. And then if the ball flies off of the contraption altogether, or otherwise doesn't line up properly and the trap fails, then the trap fails and everybody is safe. And we can just chalk that up to the dungeon trap wasn't built by geniuses, it was put together by goblins who are rushing to get something together. It's a Rube Goldberg trap made by goblins. It makes so much sense. Let's try it again though. You came here for this. This is the content that you wanted to see. All right, we got it this time. This time it's a success. That whole thing moves. Okay, it only affected like 2 people. That was very anticlimactic. So these people die. And now if a goblin gets to the trap, they can actually rearm it. Bada bing, bada boom. The metal ball goes right back into the bucket. Kind of other ways you can do this too. Like this trap is going to send this mini flying. Where is it going to go? I don't know. We'll discuss how this works after I get him flying. Also, I never could get this hand thing to work. Not when I was a kid with this game and not now. You have to push the hand up to get the ball to start rolling. There we go. And okay, the whole thing just falls apart because of the lack of the fitment from the bottom, which is the board. You can use the cage. There we go. Now we've captured a hero. You can use the fun, colorful little mice. You can use the tub as a sort of bath for a bath room, and the heroes that take a bath will be able to restore lost body points. It's definitely one of the more challenging games to shoehorn into my dungeon crawler. I think I'm going to have to give you guys the point on this one. But feel free to continue challenging me. I gladly accept more suggestions for games to try to make into this format. It's a little bit different from my Will It HeroQuest series. This is more like, is there any chance in heck that Ash can get this to actually HeroQuest at all? And do so with a surprising amount of homebrew/immersion. Like, I think some of these ideas are pretty good, and even if they're not like for everybody, they could serve as really good foundation to build off of and make it for you if it's not already for you. Or you could completely ignore it and just be a purist, and that's fine too. That just means this video is not for you. Anyway, brave heroes, thank you so much for your kind attention. I will see you in the next exciting adventure. Be sure to drop your challenges below, and farewell for now.